Are you looking for a gift for your paranormal loving friend or family member?
Then check out our online store at our webpage at SCPRAI.org.
We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and tote bags.
A portion of the proceeds go to funding our team and updating equipment. This is the South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigations Podcast with your hosts, Paul
and Carolyn. We are a ghost hunting group that investigates the Palmetto State.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SCPRAI Podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Carolyn.
And tonight we have Melanie, who's newly elected to the board, and Bill, who is an investigator. And we're going to have them on and talk about some of their experiences and how they came about joining the team.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Hey. So, Melanie, you've lived in the current address that you live in now longer than Bill. So, about how long did the experiences start going on before you reached out to someone for help?
We owned the house. My ex-husband and I have owned this house for about 17 years. And over that time, we all experienced something. I did, my ex-husband did, my 3 children. It may be something small, even as a shadow walking past the bedroom door. There was a good while where things loved to come up missing. We could put a set of keys on the kitchen counter, turn around, they're gone, and you could wait 5-10 minutes and it would come back. But there was always something.
So it's kind of like a mischievous thing.
It was for a while. And about 5 years ago was actually the first time I ever actually saw an apparition. And this was almost a full-bodied apparition. It went through the door into the living room and straight out through the fireplace. And I got up and I watched it. I took pictures of my dog, who actually got up off the couch and walked over to the fireplace, looked around. He was trying to find where this thing went. And I did not get any photographic evidence then, but I saw it and one of my dogs saw it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been something. About 3 years ago, I'm going to guess, that's when things started changing. We had never felt threatened. I'd never been afraid. But at this point, things started changing. I was here by myself, was going through a divorce, and I was basically being bullied in my own home from negative energy. And we never fought going through a divorce. So there was not a lot of negative energy in the home anyway. But after the divorce was final, I was here by myself, things started changing and I became afraid. And I think at that point, it actually started changing me, and I got more negative and started having a few physical problems. Not really, I wouldn't say I'm not a sickly type person, but my life changed. It changed me completely. About 2 years ago, Bill, who's here with me, Bill moved in. And prior to this, Bill and I had known each other for about 8 years. And he knew of, the findings, the things I was telling them about me seeing people in the house, this, seeing shadows, seeing people. And, basically they thought I was absolutely insane. This is, not true. There's no way this can be real. And they thought I was basically crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
so did Bill, what did Bill say when you told him all this? Bill, what was your reaction?
Well, when I first started hanging out over here, we never went upstairs at all. Everything was in the kitchen or the living. Well, not even really the living room. Everything was pretty much just in the kitchen. And we had, like, for example, if we had dinner or whatever, it was a carpet picnic on you guys have seen the carpet on the kitchen floor. That's pretty much where we were at all the time. And did I think that was kind of weird? Yeah, but that was okay because that's just what we did. And We were both comfortable with it, and we moved on. But little did I know that there was a reason behind it, and why we never went upstairs. We never did this. We never did that. Anything upstairs at all.
Well, and before he moved in, about all that time, and it probably about the same amount of time, and I finally told them my house is haunted. And Bill and another friend of ours, previous coworker, they really thought I was nuts. There's no such thing as this ghost. There's, that doesn't exist.
Because your house doesn't even look like the typical haunted house either.
No.
Like your house is relatively new, correct?
Yeah, and I'll give you a little history that what I know about the house. It was built in 1989. And it was on a property owned by the Hudson family, and the Hudson family got the property, which is part of the neighborhood, but it was several thousand acres back then from a land grant from the Queen of England. They started a farming business, and there was Hudson Farms. And over the years, as the family split up and divided down, everybody got their little piece of land. And part of the land is my neighborhood. There's about 325 or so houses in this neighborhood. I've actually talked to some neighbors. None of them have ever had any experiences that they really can pinpoint. Nothing like that I have here. But the land was, on an old tract of land from the Hudson family. Now, I reached out several years ago when I mentioned things started changing here to a friend of mine, a nurse that I used to work with named Jan. And she was not actually a Hudson, but she was a member of the family by marriage. And she had told me, and as of last year, the last remaining Hudson had died. So there are actually no more Hudsons. But this property was her grandfather's property, which is my neighborhood. And as far as she knew, there was no, murder, killings, bloodshed, anything that she knew of, cemeteries on this land. A couple of years ago, I reached out to a different paranormal group, and they did a little bit of research. And what they found out was that I'm not even sure the year, back in the 1800s, there was a Colonel William Hite from Virginia or West Virginia, I can't remember. And he had traveled down here with his family, or part of his family, and they moved on what would the other group, paranormal group, had come in. And prior to coming to investigate, they had done some research on the house, and they found out that back in the 1800s, there was a Colonel William Hite from Virginia or West Virginia, and he had moved here with his family on what would be the neighborhood. I'm not exactly sure where on this huge property, but somewhere in this area. And Colonel Hite or his family or part of his family were murdered by Cherokee Indians. Now, my concern or my thought was, there's a lot of hills in my neighborhood. Are there Indian mounds? Is there, burial here?
I don't stop for 1 second. Get a lot of feedback. I don't know where it's coming from. Can you back up just a little bit from the speaker and see if that stops? I'm getting a lot of weird noises. Okay.
Right. Where was I? Where do you want me to start?
I'm still getting it. I don't know what
really.
Yeah, it's like Carolyn, you talk.
I'm not doing anything.
I can hear. Oh, I'm trying to figure out what it is. It must just be our connection. So we'll just have to roll with it, because whenever someone's talking, I'm hearing. It's kind of. I don't know. It sounds weird.
Sounds weird. Is it still weird?
Yeah, it's still weird. It's like it's.
I don't know.
Maybe the levels are too high or something. I'm not sure.
I don't know. We're gonna turn it down a little bit. Let's see. Does that make any difference?
No. We'll just keep going because Carolyn's doing it, and I'm just gonna guess that it's a Skype issue. So.
Okay.
Now it's clear. Now you're good.
Now I'm good.
Yeah.
That's weird because I put the volume back up. So this Colonel William Hite, either he or his family members were reportedly killed on, somewhere in this neighborhood, this land area. And they were killed by Cherokee Indians. Now, I know you've been in my neighborhood, but you've probably never really paid that much attention, but there are a lot of hills. Is any of this a burial ground? Was there bloodshed here? I don't know. But all I can say is that from the time that we bought this house and from the time I've lived here, it progressively got worse. Like I said, in the group that I had, the other paranormal group who had given me the information on Colonel Height, they actually did come to do an investigation. And we met about 6:00 here, and the plan was to be here to minimum of midnight, and they would be here later than that if things were things were interesting, if they were finding some material or whatever their reasons were. They got here, they set up, they investigated maybe 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and they packed their stuff up and took off out the door. I have made several phone calls, I've made texts. I never could get them to respond, but they were afraid when they walked out this door, and they would not reach out and get back with me. So I really have no evidence. I have no idea what kind of evidence they obtained or what they found upstairs, because it was the two of them by themselves. But I can tell you, basically, they sprinted down the stairs and out my door, and they left. And I stood here with Bill and my son, and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, basically, if I recall correctly, they said, well, we're going to do this, that, or the other till 1 a.m. or something like that. And they went to the theater room, they went to the guest room, and I think it was like around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
It was,
and because it was a gentleman and a lady. And the lady that we both knew, because she was in the medical field as well. But the gentleman made up an excuse about he had to leave because he was allergic to paprika and or something along those lines. But it was like he couldn't stay any longer. It was
basically,
like something scared both of them enough between the theater and the guest room, and they were like, we gotta go. And then we never heard anything from them. We never got a report. We never got this, that, or the other.
Which is crazy to me, because we didn't get anything that scared us. We got evidence, but we didn't get anything that made anybody scared.
No, and when I say they basically ran out the door,
yeah, they literally ran out the door.
That guy left, and she stayed here long enough to pack up what equipment they had and took off. And it was after that it actually got even worse. That was between November, because they investigated, I believe it was the day after or a couple of days after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was.
And by the time SCPRAI got back in touch with me and was able to do an investigation, they investigated in March. So I had several more months and it was sheer hell to go through. And I had people they don't believe you, and who are you going to call? There really is no Ghostbusters. You can't call the police. People think you're crazy at work. Your friends think you're crazy, So I reached out and got, Darlene on our team, she's just wonderful. She got back in touch with me, and we talked on the phone probably 2 hours that night about my experiences here, and just to have someone to talk to who believed every word I said. And I was like, I know this sounds absolutely crazy. And I prefaced everything I said by, I know this is going to sound crazy. And she's like, no, I believe you. Yeah, we believe you.
We get a lot of people that say that, Darlene is perfect for that job, because she really does sit on the phone with everybody until they're ready to get off the phone. And once they're ready to get off the phone, then she starts working on, getting that roster out for the next people. But I believe she's the perfect person for that.
She was great for that job. And when I hung up, I was like, oh my God, somebody that actually believes what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't too much longer after I had finally, reached out and found another group before everyone was out here. And I can't tell you how wonderful they were. It was Angie and Robin, and what was the other lady's name?
I believe Maxine.
Maxine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen her. So haven't seen her since. But I mean, they were wonderful. They were professional. They believed what you said, and they didn't look at you like you're absolutely freaking crazy.
Talked
And
about you behind your back when you walked out the door, probably. But
well, that's it's not, that may be crazy, but it's not because of having ghosts in my home. You know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a very positive experience. And it wasn't long after that, I believe that day, I was like, how can I join up? You can help other people realize that they're not actually crazy. I may not be able to fix your problem. I can't guarantee that I can actually even help, but at least you can talk to somebody that believes what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met you is when you had went to that first meeting, because that was also my first meeting
I
when we
remember.
had joined, and they were just like, talking about all the experiences in your house and, what they had experienced as well. And I was intrigued. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is in her house?
Yeah, 'cause I think I sat near all y'all at that
You
meeting.
did. You did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I remember. Because I know like Angie was really excited about some of the stuff she found at your house, and she was sending me. She's like, "Listen to this, listen to this, listen to this."
Oh,
And
yeah.
that
Well,
day,
well,
that
the
evening,
kind
you
of the
got
crazy thing is when I first was coming over here, and like I said, we pretty much didn't leave the kitchen or the dining room area or the living room area. But when I started to get more comfortable coming over here, I'm like, I already knew that because we've known each other for 13 or 14 years. She had a theater room upstairs. I'm like, but she's like, it doesn't work. So let me go upstairs and I'll try to see if I can figure it out. And there was a couple of times that I kind of felt like I was being watched, but I'm like, it's kind of like when you turn around, you do a double take, but nobody's there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go downstairs and I went back up and I'm like, the flashlight moved from one area to another, but it was still in the theater room, but it just moved like, say, 5 feet. And I'm like, I can explain it away. And Melanie would always say, well, I can hear music. Well, I think I might hear music, but I can explain it away because I thought I heard music one time when I was in the shower, but well, it's train horns or it's this kind of thing or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it got to the point to where I couldn't explain anything away any longer.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, when was the thing that happened to you that you were like, okay, she's not crazy, or maybe I'm crazy too.
Well, what it was is Melanie didn't at that time didn't always tell me everything because I would assume it was because she didn't want to scare me off. But we spent like 2 or 3 nights downstairs because she was like, well, I would just rather sleep downstairs. There's a TV, there's a fireplace, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And so after 3 nights on the couch, I'm like, all right, we're going to sleep upstairs. She's like, okay, let's do it. And I'm still trying to explain things off. And so we change the sheets on the bed, and I'm tucking sheets under, and she's like, we're sleeping downstairs tonight. I'm like, come on, man. We just spent 3 nights downstairs. And she's like, there's somebody behind me. And I was tucking a sheet under the bed. And I looked up when she said there's somebody standing behind me. And I actually saw a figure of a person walk from behind her and out our bedroom door.
Wow.
And I said, and pardon me for saying this, you can edit if you want to, but literally I said, get your shit. We're going back downstairs. And that was my first real experience in this house. Could I tell you the clothing he was wearing? I know it was a gentleman because there was a
I was going to
beard.
ask you that.
It was a. I know it was a gentleman because there was a beard, but I could. Could I tell you it was like Civil War era kind of clothing or early 1900s? No, I can't. But I know it was a man.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, get your shit. We're going downstairs. And ever since then, I was a believer.
You know, one of the coolest things that I had happen here was, and this was, I believe, I'm pretty sure before Bill even had this last experience, but I was standing in my kitchen facing the den, the doorway, and I look up and I see I mean, this was basically like someone standing there. I know it was before Bill because this was actually before the last paranormal group came. And, or actually the first group before you guys. And, I saw this guy standing right there in the doorway. And when I mentioned it to them, and I didn't even think of this, she said, look up and see if you can't find out what type of clothing he was wearing. And I did, and it was late 1800s clothes. And I actually found a picture that is this guy had this almost exact clothing. I mean, to the T. So it would have been a late 1800s guy. Well, the next night, I'm in the piano room, and I'm in there playing the piano. Bill is here in the kitchen, and he's cooking dinner. And I'm sitting there playing, and out of the corner of my right eye, I can see movement. And I look over and I see footsteps going up the stairs. And it was the same clothes as the day before. And I stopped playing, and I yelled at Bill, and I just kind of hollered, and I said, his name is Noah. And he's like, what? I said, that guy's name, the one I was, the apparition I saw, his name is Noah. Well, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
think too much about it. I think he didn't really think anything of it because at that point he hadn't seen anything either. When the paranormal group was here, when that lady came back downstairs, she actually sat while she was getting all of her equipment together. She played part of what they had caught in one of the bedrooms upstairs. And they were asking how many people were in there, and there were three. And they asked the names, and the names were like Stephen, something else, I can't remember, and the last one was Noah. And they all looked at me like I had three heads. Like, how did you know that guy's name was Noah? I was like, I told you so. How did I know his name was Noah? I have no idea. As far as I knew, I was making it up. All I can say is I knew that guy's name was Noah.
It's almost like you have a voice in your head.
Yeah, yeah. I never saw him again. That was the last time I saw him. The look that the look when he was standing there, and it was only a split second. It seemed like I mean, I can see him so clearly in my head. So I mean, I've got that image, but it couldn't have been more than a split second. But he was looking for something. You knew he was looking for something. He was lost, or he was trying to find something, find someone. I don't know. And I really believe that since all of this has happened to me, and since being on this team, I think we all open up a little bit. I think once you
Yes.
finally you see something or you believe it, you do open up. And you're peeling back layers and layers and layers. And since I've been on this team, I've had more and more things happen to me. Some of which has gotten a little. I wouldn't say frightening, but disturbing. Um, Most recently, when we were smudging, and I felt every ounce of negative, and it was all negative. It was all bad feelings of sadness, despair, lost, lonely, just anger, hatred, everything bad rolled into one on 10 times steroids. I felt it. And this was the last push out the house into the bedroom, into the master bathroom where we had the window open. So we had gone through the entire house. We had gone, stated our intent. We've done everything we have to do. We've done it. And we get there to the very end. And I think it was trying to hang on. And
Mm-hmm.
I've never been so afraid. The feeling that I had, I really don't ever want to feel that again. But you felt sorry for them. Now I feel bad. You want to help those entities get to where they're supposed to be. I don't know that I have that capability.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as we progress as a team, I think that we're going to continue to learn. I think that our focus and things that we're going to be able to do is going to be, I think we're going to grow. I think you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, I think we're
I,
constantly growing and changing, and people come to the team and they go, and then we get the people who
Are
that
meant to be
similar
there.
are meant to be there, and I feel like we got a really good group this past weekend. I know you
We
weren't.
do. And we've you're going to expand, and then we're going to lose the people who are not right for the group. And
Mm-hmm.
we've gone through some growth, and we've gone through, you're going to change. And I think the change is probably for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think we're all here to learn. We're in it together. And, this house, if it wasn't for
We,
you and some techniques you've led me through, and Bill through, I don't think I'd have gotten in my car and I'd have been living in your bedroom somewhere on your floor, your
well,
couch.
I know right
Right.
before the eclipse, your house started jumping off, right?
Oh, it did. It
The
did.
the the
And
the lunar eclipse. I don't want to talk about the solar eclipse 'cause
it was the lunar eclipse. And, this part I never even said, but I'd had a really, really crazy couple of days prior to that. And I was outside. I mean, I love this stuff. I want to see, this phenomenon. So I'm outside. Bill's asleep, and I'm standing there and I'm looking up at it. It's almost the full lunar eclipse. There's something charging me and this sounds absolutely bizarre. It, I couldn't really see it, but I could kind of see it,
mm,
almost like you would think of Predator in the trees. It blends, but I
yeah.
could see it from across the street charging straight at me. And this was like one of those in a horror movie where you fall down, you can't run, you're, you know, Fred Flintstone spinning your wheels. I could not get back in my house fast enough. I'm not scared of much. These kind of things that we have no control of, we don't know, we don't understand. How do you fight it? I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
that was some of the scare. That was one of the scariest things that's happened to me in a very long time, several years. And it was right after that we started doing some heavy duty smudging and
Yeah, because I know
candle lighting, and
I gave you a couple more tips around there and to
yeah,
try
did. and
ease.
and we toned it back down. It got toned down, but for a while I got afraid. It takes a lot to scare me out of my own house, but I was scared.
Yeah, I remember Bill calling me because you didn't tell me, and Bill was like, "She's not telling me stuff," and I had to call you and be like, "If you can't call us and tell us what's going on, who can you call?" You know?
Well, yeah, exactly. And do I think that she still hides things from me? No, I
Yeah,
don't
she.
believe.
She
Well, she
does.
probably does,
She does.
but well, actually, no. Then that's true because I think she does it on purpose to see if I'll figure it out for myself. I am
Mm,
not an empath like she is. However, I've become more sensitive as I've accepted that this is real. When before I could just try to explain it away. Okay, something fell down, something did this, something did that. You just,
was it
if nothing else, like a logical thinking, dare I say, a logical thinking man would do. But eventually, when you embrace it and accept it, will I ever have, dare I say, the superpower that Melanie does? No.
I don't have any superpowers, you nut job.
But, but I generally, I, I can't think of how I want to say it, but I've just become more sensitive to my surroundings and what's going on around me. And there are some times where she's sleeping and I wake up in the middle of the night because we're still sleeping downstairs and I feel like somebody's watching me.
mm,
And And there are sometimes, when we're upstairs and she's like, I can't sleep upstairs because there's people watching. I'm like, okay. But, and if we have the TV on in the bedroom upstairs, I've actually seen a female figure standing right up underneath it. And, but if you try to take a picture, of course, no, you can't.
Well, the interesting thing that you guys have brought up to me is, these spirits or whatever you want to call them, they like water. They like a source of water. I have a creek running through my backyard. They like energy. They like, anything like that. I have I don't know if it's probably Duke Energy substation that's not too far from me. And then I've got a huge, the big power lines running 3 houses down. So, I mean, there's a very big source of energy right here. And I know when Angie on our team, when they came out and investigated, when you went to, check the EMF in my house, if you were to check the walls, the outlets, the appliances, everything had zero. It was zero EMF. You could take 2 steps out into the house, anywhere in the house, and it would go off the charts. And this was not with 1 meter. This was with several different ones. And, I think we had 3 going, and it would be zero against the wall, but you walk out into the room and this thing lights up. Why? I don't know. What is that a source of? I don't know. We've discussed there being a portal here. I think that I know where it was at one time. Do they move? I don't know. I don't know enough about portals.
Yeah, getting somebody up there and finding that and closing it for you if you
and
do
closing it up. I can tell you that over the 17 years of having the house, that there's really no one here that stays. It's not like Noah came or stayed for a while. You're not going to ever see the same ones. It's just like there's a crossroads. And one day, I know one night Bill and I were standing in the kitchen, and I'm like, it's like right here, dead center in my kitchen, and I can picture this in my head, and it sounds absolutely off the wall, but it was like a crossroads where there were some people that were coming in from each direction. They'd go left or right. It was just like a big 4-way stop, and there were just people coming and going. And I'm like, is that a portal? Is that, am I just picturing this in my head? Because it just all of a sudden just popped up. I don't know. Nobody can answer that. There's, the things that we do, it's hard to get proof. I wish that I had proof of everything that I've seen or you've seen or heard or felt. Is I think that we've all heard, seen, and felt a lot. It's just, can you prove it?
Well,
here in the kitchen, for example, is I'm standing on near the sink because I feel like I'm playing bartender, and we're in our little chairs you guys have seen on the other side, and there are some times where I'll say, "Is there somebody standing behind me?" And the first thing she does is look in the reflection in the microwave oven, and she's actually seen somebody playing with my hair or touching the shirt that I'm wearing.
So, do you know what that reminds me of?
What?
Have you ever heard of scrying?
No.
I want you to look that up when you're off of when we get off here. Look up scrying.
How do you spell?
Don't ask me how to spell it.
I'll find it.
I'll look it up when we get off here. I'll send it to you.
Well, no, the brains behind the organization here will.
I might be brains, but I'm not the speller.
I'll find it. I'll look it up. But there's times that I do. There's times, and he said one day, and I'd already seen there was this weird blue light, and I don't know if that's indicative of anything or not, but it was like a tiny orb. Probably, I'm going to go with 3 inches in diameter, probably 3 to 4. And I saw it in the piano room, kind of in the corner, and I didn't mention anything, but I noted this blue light. The next night, I'm at the kitchen sink, and Bill says, he comes in the room, and I can't remember the conversation, but he said there was a blue light over my right shoulder. And, most people, if they're going to say there's a light over your shoulder, they're not going to describe it in color. They're just going to say there's a light over your shoulder, but he knew it was blue. I don't know. And that's something else that I wanted to research to see if there's like a blue orb that's indicative of anything that you may know.
Not the off the top.
Sometimes the color of orbs have like the aura kind of meanings.
Yeah, well,
That I did read one time. And also scrying is SCRYING.
that's how I had it spelled out in my head. All right, cool.
Okay.
It is. How else would you spell it? Bill's like, right. I was like, I'm like a spelling bee champ.
You okay?
Yeah, I can't.
I got it right on the first try, so
Yes, I'd have got it right.
I knew if I started spelling it, I'd figure it out, but I'm not trying
Yes,
to.
I'd have gotten it.
But
and I
no,
was
there
gonna
are
ask
plenty.
you guys about that blue light that you guys saw.
But no, there were plenty of times where Melanie, like with the blue light thing she was just talking about, she won't say a word to me about it, and she'll just see if I see it
Well,
or.
most likely that blue light would have never come back. I wouldn't have ever expected him to see a blue light over me. And he came into the kitchen. He's like, there was a blue light right on your right shoulder.
Mm.
I was like, very cool. I don't know what it was, but I saw it yesterday. Same one. I never saw it again.
But then I'll say, well, then why didn't you tell me about it yesterday? I don't know.
Because it sounds crazy.
Because it sounds crazy.
I
No
think
matter
after
what.
being with you for so long, nothing sounds crazy to him anymore.
Probably not.
But yeah, but I do think that some of it is a test just to see if I'm paying attention to what's really going on around here. But there's sometimes that I may, and I'm doing air quotes, see things that she doesn't see or something along those lines. And so I don't know. I mean, but that's just how it is. It's like, as Forrest says, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get here.
Well, you really don't. There's not been a lot of people that have actually seen anything other than family, or my youngest son's girlfriend. They were here, I don't, probably 6 to 9 months ago. And maybe it was back this past fall. So about 6 months ago. And she woke up during the night and she thought my son was at the end of the bed looking out the window. And she called his name and he didn't move. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And she turned her flashlight on her phone and shined it, and there was no one there. And Bill came down the next morning and she was asleep on the couch, and he just assumed that they had gotten into a fight or something. She was asleep down here. And next day we found out, she said, "Oh, no, there was somebody standing at the foot of the bed looking out the window." So she's the only one outside of me or the kids that have ever, and Bill, who's actually seen anything in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think our team, we caught that weird orb that kind of flew in and then went up out over my bed.
Yeah.
And the voices too on the recorder.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but seeing it is difficult sometimes.
Oh,
That's one of the my favorite things is that Dan Brown EVP, which I'm gonna try and put on this
Isn't
podcast.
that cool?
Yeah. I'm gonna try and add it to the end. So if there's any EVPs, I'll play them at the end and I'll explain them if I can find the files.
The
But
other one was that
The
I really
California
liked.
one.
explain the Dan Brown one for us because
Well, I was
that was really.
with the Dan Brown. The group had just gotten here. Angie and Robin and Maxine had just shown up. They hadn't even unloaded yet. They were just going to take a tour of the house. So we walked in. We were kind of setting up a couple of things, and they had turned on their recorders. And at that time, I mean, I didn't know they usually would turn on a recorder when they walked in the door. But we were standing here talking in the kitchen for just a minute, and then I kind of took a little right, which is a little hallway that goes into my piano room. And I was talking about where I was playing the piano and saw the footsteps going upstairs, and um, was telling them about Noah. And as we were walking through, Robin says, "Oh, good author," and kind of pointed to a book that was on the coffee table. And you can hear As soon as she said, "Oh, good Arthur," you can hear something whisper, just a strange voice just whispered, "Dan Brown." And it's not my voice because I had just talked about something. So you can tell my voice very clearly on the EVP. But there was definitely, I mean, it was very clear that someone whispered Dan Brown the second she said, "Good Author." The other one that I thought was really cool and nobody would have known but me was you can hear the EVP. It's kind of long and quiet with some background music. I think that I can't remember who was playing in the background, but you can hear me all of a sudden say, "What?" And then you'll hear in the background kind of an echo go, "What?" Making fun of me. And then I said, "What is it?" And what's going on at that time? I'm talking to my dog. And I'm sitting here in the kitchen at the bar, and my dog keeps pawing at my leg. And I'm asking him what. And then I said, "What is it?" Because he's just continuously pawing at me. And then you hear something whisper, and it's kind of hard to tell, but if you can hear it once you know what it's saying. There's a whisper telling me to hold hand and shake. It's wanting me to shake the dog's hand, and that's what it looks like the dog's trying to do is shake my hand. And it says hold hand and shake. So I mean, that one nobody would have known it but me, you know, because nobody knew what was happening at that minute. But my dog was sitting right here beside me, and that was one of the cool ones.
Well, one of my favorite cool ones is one of the times we were sitting here in the kitchen. I was on the other side by the, being the bartender, so to speak, and we were talking about old music. When I say old music, like the Doors, Rolling Stones, and the like. And upstairs, I have in the theater room. Every so often, I turn it on. It's a really loud stereo. It's kind of like the thing I believe Angie posted something along the lines of, "When I listen to 80s music, so do my neighbors," and that sort of thing. And we went to the laundry room, and I unlocked the hook that's on there, and I look at that every day when I come downstairs still. And if it's unhooked, I ask Melanie about it because we leave that hook on there all the time because it's the back way to go up to the theater room, and we don't use that. But I went up that way, and we were talking about the Rolling Stones, and I put on one of the CDs to the greatest hits, 64 to 71 or whatever it is, Hot Rocks, I think it's what it's called. The first song is Jumpin' Jack Flash. So I got the volume turned up, and I'm, of course, just like anybody else, you're singing along to the song, and you get to the chorus, Jumpin' Jack Flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. And behind me, I hear, it's a gas, gas, gas. And I spun my head around, kind of like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. And there was no one behind me. I thought Melanie had come up the back stairs. There was no one there. And it kind of freaked me out. But at least someone that was in the house liked the Rolling Stones. So eventually you just kind of, I guess what I'm saying is you kind of go with the flow, and
I guess.
you don't have obviously, do you have a choice? Not really. But whoever was in the house at that point in time was a huge fan of the Rolling Stones and like Jumping Jack Flash a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, one of the EVPs I caught, Melanie is nice to whenever we decide we need a break and we need to have a party, she lets everybody party at her house.
Yeah.
So I think the first party we had, I actually investigated a little bit.
Maybe.
Maybe. No, not this past time. This past time
I know, time before.
Was that when we had Domino's pizza and stuff?
No, it wasn't that time. Which that night y'all got me really messed up. That's all I'm saying. But no, we had I think we just had a party just to have a party. There wasn't any like occasion, and I think you were upstairs with Jennifer when Jennifer was on the team, Carolyn. Y'all were doing Spirit Box, but I don't think you were getting anything on the Spirit Box.
No.
And me and Melanie came and joined you in the room, and I got an EVP of you're late.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because we were supposed to come out there and do this session with you, but I think me and Melanie had ended up like talking too much downstairs.
Oh, that's when I had too much beer and I woke up with the baby next to me.
Well, that baby loves to wake up
Effers.
next to something.
Myself, I'm just calling you effers for doing that.
Oh, that wasn't me, and I just call everybody bitches. So.
Well, whatever, bitches. You're a bunch of effers for doing it.
That damn
fun.
baby. I'm
That
just glad
baby.
it's not on my set of equipment. That thing is not going to St. Albans, by the way.
That poor baby. Nobody likes that baby.
I hate that baby.
It's creepy. It's
It's
not
creepy.
Look,
It's
When I
not
went
creepy.
after the investigation was over, they forgot to take the baby away, and I went upstairs to go pee, and all of a sudden,
That's not what it does.
or whatever it does.
I'm sorry. It's not. It doesn't look creepy. It just if you're in a room and it's dark and there's no one in there and the baby laughs, that's what's creepy.
Yeah, exactly. I just went up there to pee and scared the pee out of me, so to speak.
Yeah, she caught that on camera.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
Funny.
That's when they did that on purpose.
Yeah, we
That's
did it
okay.
too. That was
We
funny.
went to Old South Pittsburgh one year, and then the next night we stayed at a cabin because we only had it one night because poor management. Basically, it wasn't our fault. We would have stayed 2 nights, but it's underneath different management now, so I'm not talking crap about them. But so we
Yes,
stayed
you
at a cabin.
are.
No, I'm not. I haven't met these people, so I can't talk crap about them. From what they're not even officially reopened yet, so there's nothing
Really?
to talk crap about. But well, I was asleep. I was asleep upstairs. I think I was taking a nap or something because we were gonna go like do a ghost tour in Chattanooga that night for our second night, and I woke up and it was on the other side of me, so I rolled over and there it was laying, and I just yelled down the stairs, "You bitches!"
Love it.
So
We love
that's
you, Paul.
as you know, as a female
That is
dominant.
that. Hey, you know, I still like the nip cups.
Oh Lord, we're not telling that story again. That
That was
story's
funny.
already been on another podcast. I'm done.
That was the best.
Oh Lord.
I don't remember that story being on another podcast.
Bullshit.
Censor.
Go feed that bullshit to someone else.
That was a great night. And Paul got the
You can't bullshit a bullshitter, okay?
and we got the fire department out.
Oh Lord, that whole night was a disaster.
The whole night was hilarious.
I was supposed to be on that investigation, but I had to work the next day all of a sudden.
I laughed all the way back to Greenville.
So I had to stay home.
I know you at least laughed all the way back to Columbia.
I laughed the entire way home. It's still funny to me.
You laughed for 3 days afterwards. That's why
I did. I see those pictures of those damn nip cups. I love it.
Well, guess what? I still have them. They're hanging right here in my office. They're hanging off my curtain rod in my office.
It's better than getting your nips tweaked by a stranger.
Oh, Lord.
Come out here and let me take a good look at you.
Oh, Lord.
You sure do got a pretty mouth there, boy.
I forgot he said that. Not the pretty mouth part. But
No, but he said, come on out so I can take a good look at you.
What? I got to
We did not hear that part.
Where's
That
your
part we did
apartment?
not
I
hear.
thought about that until just now. Apparently, Melanie remembers it better.
I remember it all. That was I don't forget.
I've tried to black it out, but now that she says that, I remember him saying that.
That's one
That
thing you
should have
have
been
to
my number
remember
one.
with Melanie. She forgets
I'm not going to forget it.
nothing.
That should have been my
Nothing.
first clue to shut the door
That
and
was
run
so
away.
much fun. Yep. Shut the door. Come on out here. Let me take a look at
Sum it up
you.
just in case. I'm gonna give the Cliff Notes version just in case there's people listening that hasn't heard that. But the Cliff Notes version is: someone knocked on the door. The client left us at their house alone to investigate while they went out and had dinner with their friends. Someone knocked the door, answered the door. Dude wanted beer. I told him I didn't know he was supposed to be coming. I had talked to the homeowner. Let me call the homeowner. So I'm looking for the homeowner's number as he reaches over and pinches my nipple. So then I tell him, go get a beer and go home.
But didn't he wanted to leave some pills or something, didn't he?
Yeah, apparently I don't know. I just said get the beer.
I know you told him to get out.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
I
was
think there
like,
was a
get the beer and go home.
transaction that had to
I
take
don't think.
place.
The dude just said, "Get out." And he took
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Never again. And see, I didn't know that the homeowner had left a note on the door saying "Don't knock on the door" because I was upstairs setting up a camera when he done that. And if I had known he had left a note on the door, I definitely wouldn't have had to open the door.
Yeah, but it made it so much more fun.
like like my previous statement, I'm surrounded by bitches.
I have
Yeah.
no idea what you're talking about.
Mhm.
We are
Yeah,
innocent.
I got nothing. That's just hurtful.
Whose dogs is that?
I hear dogs.
My freaking roommates.
I'll have to cut this out.
So I have no idea what's going on.
Mm. Well, Carolyn, I guess we can go ahead and tell everybody that you're going to be going to New York for a little while,
I am.
When are
but
you
she'll
leaving?
still be doing the podcast with us.
Yep, yep.
We'll
When are
miss
you
her.
leaving to go back?
Uh, the Saturday.
Saturday.
Yep. Tomorrow's my last day of work.
We'll see you at St. Albans in
Yep.
May,
Yep. I'll
which
be coming back for that.
Bill and Melanie need to go to St. Albans with us.
My mini me, William the Fourth, graduates from college, so it just happens to be that weekend.
I
Aw.
mean, can't you get someone to record? I was just joking.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, can I go to Virginia or do I see my mini me graduate?
You see your mini
Uh,
me graduate.
What
yes,
day is the
indeed.
graduation?
17th.
Oh, we can make this work. You can go see the graduation. You just come right after.
It's in Mississippi.
Oh, never mind. I mean,
It's
you can make
already
it. You can
it's
make
already
it work.
like
You
11
just be hella
hours from here as it is.
tired.
It shouldn't be 11 hours if you drive, unless you drive like Papa.
Yeah.
We'll let you drive,
Jesus.
and we'll get there very soon.
In a minute.
In a minute.
That's a 12-hour drive from me to New York from here.
Yeah,
So,
that's pushing it.
Bill and Melanie, question for you both. So, what's been one of some of your favorite cases while you've been on the team?
I have no doubt my favorite case has been Walter Burrell.
I knew you were gonna say that.
That is my favorite case, and I wanted to go back ever since. And you were there. Actually, Bill and I just got luck. We felt we got lucky. I think you got stiffed by a couple other team members who are no longer with us.
One of them, and that's why she's no longer with us.
And so Bill and I flew down to the rescue, and that turned out to be one of the coolest cases. That especially when we were down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And we were following that EMF just across that whole entire basement. It was following us, or we were following it. It was
Yeah,
just bizarre.
I've
And
I've
I've
only
got a couple of pictures. Um, I know that you and Angie were going back and forth the other day about a couple of pictures that were taken down in Charleston.
yeah.
But I got a couple of pictures from that house. I think I asked you guys or somebody back, a year ago when we did that case, what they thought of it. And I really think that there may be something more to it. I don't remember what the response was, but that's the first, that is in that front den. That is the first time that I ever actually knew someone was sitting across from me, and I
Mm.
actually knew his name before it came across. I think we were doing the maybe we were doing Spirit Box, maybe it was um or what's that other thing that we have? Golly, I'm blinking. What we call that
Uh,
thing? The one that I can't
I used to
understand.
use that portal, but I don't use it anymore
Yeah,
because
the portal.
I've
I
had
just can't
bad,
get it.
I've had bad, I've heard very bad things about it, and now if I use it, I'd use it with the spirit box now.
Yeah, yeah. I've not been that impressed with it. I have a hard time interpreting or understanding anything it says. It just makes a bunch of noise to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds very echoey.
Does
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
like it
Like
helps
it's
with the
like it's
spirit.
in a constant echo.
It
I
helps with
don't
the
know.
spirit box, but it's one of those things that runs on an app too, and I don't trust apps.
Yeah,
Or
that's probably what it is. I mean, y'all sounded great the whole time, so it's got to be something with the connection here, probably.
yeah, I'm
But since
hearing
I've not had any problem with it, I don't haven't had a problem with either one of you. It sounds clear.
it. It comes and goes. I don't know what that little breaking up is. Maybe it's the spooks at your house.
Yeah, it could be. The energy's weird.
Probably.
It does have a weird. But the last time everybody investigated, the EMF was totally opposite. It was just totally
Yeah.
normal again. So,
Well,
that
Except
was good.
for when we had went for the birthday party and we were up in the media room and the REM pod just started going off like crazy. And it
yeah.
was quiet the whole night. And then that one particular time, it just kept going and would not shut. It even
Yeah.
went around in the circle and then
We moved
touched
it.
on the right, touched on certain sides. Will touch on this side and it light up on that side. And then it just walked around the whole thing slowly. And it just went crazy.
Mm.
It's so weird, and there's times that I really do believe that it does try to. I do believe this stuff tries to feed off of you, use your energy. I don't know, but I think it makes you feel bad. And there's times I'll go out and I'll sit outside. I'll just go outside and sit. Like, I can't be in there. It's the energy's bad. Bill and I we'll smudge. We'll do these, some other things. I've got some stones. I've collected the moon water. We've done this, that, or the other. Anything that we can do, and it does help. It does, believe it or not. I still think, oh my God, that's just kind of hocus pocus crap, but
Mm.
it works. If I believe that what I'm seeing is real, then why can't I believe that what I'm doing to make it go away isn't real? If one's real, the other's real.
Right.
And it's difficult sometimes for the brain to to grasp or fathom, and it's not the norm, and you can't just go around talking to people and they think you're full of shit.
Mm.
But you're not. I know you guys are not. You're very credible. um I think I'm very credible. I've got a reputation out there, and I've got patience. And if people think you're crazy, they don't put their trust in you, their faith in you. So I mean, my name's out on the line out there. So you know,
Mm.
a lot of my patients, they believe it. If and it's kind of weird who I pick and choose who I tell. And there's not that many of them, but I guess it's just kind of, you can sense who has the same type of energy, somebody that you can connect with. And it's kind of funny because all of a sudden they'll mention it before I do, and
Mm.
then I'll we'll comment along. But there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of experiences, and most people don't comment or don't mention because they're going to be picked on or ridiculed or laughed at. And if we can
Yeah.
at least back them up and make them feel good about it, we're a group that at least believes you, then I think we at least got something going for us.
Well, I think you should always give everyone the benefit of the doubt until I mean, I can tell sometimes we believe you, we just didn't get anything because,
And that doesn't mean anything.
and that
It
does.
really doesn't. It may not like that investigator. I've been with some investigators who I thought were absolutely ridiculous and shouldn't have had no business investigating.
Mm.
But it may just not have been the energy, the connection. And we're not necessarily ones who are going to we're not picking who they're going to communicate with.
Exactly.
They are picking who they want to communicate
And
with.
we're only there for so many hours, and the homeowners there way more than we are, so they're definitely more likely to see something, experience something, than we are when we go someplace. And I usually tell people, sometimes when you wrap up in the end of the night, people be like, well, did you get anything? And you're like, I don't know yet. You're gonna have to give me a week to go through, or 2 weeks to go through all this, and then I can tell you if I got something or not.
Right. Yeah, I was just thinking one of my other favorite cases we did was down at Maria's house down in Charleston. I don't know if you were in the room with us or not when I think it was part of their family, and I think Bill was in the room, and I was in the room when we had just sat down, and we had one of those little tap lights, and it was on the back of the couch, and were recording. And I made a comment about the light, and there was a response right behind me that said, turn the light off, or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was so clear.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on Spirit Box, and we didn't actually, I don't think that we got it on recording, but we heard it come across, and everybody heard it.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest.
That's one of my favorite places to investigate. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I've gotten some of the best evidence that I ever have there. And I know I could find that EVP, but it's on our website too, but I'll put it on the end of this episode. And it was y'all were there. You and Bill were there. It was that night when I got my full name.
Oh, when your name, yeah, it said your full name.
Yeah, so we were just setting up, and I think it was 20 minutes into recording.
That was the basketball.
The basketball that was moving across the.
Yeah, that was the same case. Yeah.
And the flashlight would go off and on.
Yeah.
On command.
So, but that was, we were there for like 20 minutes or something like that, setting up. You can hear me talking in the background while we're setting up, and then you hear, "Hey, Paul Sanders."
Hey, Paul Sanders. I was like, holy crap.
My jaw dropped.
And what the funny thing is? We all either smudged. I think we all smudged before we left and came back home.
Mm-hmm.
We brought something home with us.
Yeah, we did.
And this was about a 3 to 4 foot tall, solid black entity. It looked like a solid black cartoon. Mm-hmm. If I had to kind of stay, and it moved like a cartoon character. This sounds off the wall bizarre, but it would be sitting on my counter sometimes. And then it sounds crazy. And all of a sudden, I guess I'm sitting at the bar. Bill's walking around the corner, and he stops dead in his track. I had never seen that man stop so fast in his life. Mm-hmm. He saw crouched down. He said it was like a little tiny kid crouched down in the corner. Solid black little kid. He saw it, and we never saw it again. That was it. It disappeared, and it was gone.
So it was like, hey, bye.
Hey, bye. But that was the next day after we got home, and was that when you went home and had the smoke? When did you have the smoke detector?
That was the guy the one where I called the fire department, and the guy picked it up.
Yeah.
That was that.
That was that. I mean,
but
we just had some weird experiences.
Home, and then the next morning, I was like, in that space where you're halfway awake, halfway asleep, and the fire alarm went off. Smoke alarm went off in my bedroom, and it was not, the way a battery in a smoke alarm dies when it beeps is different than the actual alarm, because it did that whole beep beep like that, and versus the fire alarm where it's just one random beep when the battery's dying. And Ryan comes in the room. He goes, "What was that?" And I was like, "The fire alarm, the smoke alarm." Like, why'd it go off? I was like, "I set the smoke alarm off last night at my client's house." He just gave me this look of,
"Don't do it again."
Don't tell me anything else.
Don't bring it home.
Yeah. But that's kind of like you said the thing followed you home. It reminded me of we went back to the Charleston jail this weekend to do a tour because we were in Charleston for a meeting, and some of the members, they wanted to go that didn't get to investigate with us in November. And the tour guide was saying, spirits follow people home from here, but they always come back. So maybe that's what it did with you, was just like, hey, I'm going to visit these people for a day, and then I'm
Just
coming
hang
back.
out. And
Yeah.
it could be, because it was here for, I saw it for about a day, and then Bill saw it that night, and it was gone.
He's probably saying, "Oh, this place is too crowded for me. It's already,
Probably.
it's already,
I'm
taken.
not gonna. Yeah.
I'm out."
This is something we've talked about, Melanie, and something we're working on now is, we believe that you're an empath or some type of sensitive, and I've told you, you're kind of like that book on Hocus Pocus when they open up the witch's spell book. Everybody, the witches can see it from like across the town if you open the book, and there's this light shining in the sky. And that's how I
Yeah.
feel like you are. Is as long as you're open, everything sees you. You know what I mean? And it
Well,
says, "Hey."
and it's funny, and I don't know if I've ever even shown you this picture, but one night, this is probably about a year ago, I was trying to explain to Bill what I had pictured in my head, and I couldn't explain it. And I drew a picture, and basically what it is if you were standing out in total blackness, and one of these car lots, God bless them, with these big, 4 foot around spotlights that shine straight up in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
out in the middle of the blackness, I said, that's the only thing these people can see. They see that. They
Yeah.
see that and they go to it. I said, that's what I feel like. I said, I can't explain it, but that's exactly what I drew in a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And, I couldn't explain it any other way. And, since joining the team and, reading and trying to learn and getting some help from you and a couple other members, I'm able to shut it off for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and I don't know, it's hard. It's a hard decision to make. Do you want to shut it off and you don't have to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you embrace it and move forward? And I think the last thing that I had that was a forward movement was feeling all of that negative energy from whatever entity was in my house, or it was every bit of the negative energy that we were pushing out of the house. And it was such a scary feeling to me, and it was horrible. And oh God, it was just, you felt like if you had to feel that way more than 60 seconds, you probably commit suicide. It was that devastating, that negative, that I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to feel this way.
Well, I
And
do
then
have
you got to
another
think
contact.
that, this is a gift that was given to you, and you got to figure out how to use it. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to know how. I don't know how. I don't know anything about it. But I think that like you can help, and there's a reason that I ended up with this team. You can help me, and then in the end, if I can help you or other people, or I just don't know what to do. I'm
Yeah.
lost.
I got another contact for you today too. So when
Good.
we get done with this, I'll send you that contact,
Shoot
and
it to me. Yeah.
she should be able to help you out some more.
Knowledge is power. If you don't
Exactly.
know, you can't do a thing about it.
You've actually met this person too, briefly. So it's not like don't know them.
Gotcha. I'm cool.
Cool. Anything. Anyway, anybody got anything else they want to discuss or say? Carolyn, you got anything?
Yeah, where would, of your 5 places, where would you like to investigate?
Oh, I got one too.
I want to go. I really do want to go to the Transylvania. What is it? Not Trans Allegheny.
Yeah.
Trans-Allegheny.
Trans
We were so
Allegheny.
close. We were so close for that one.
Trans Allegheny. I want to go there. That would probably be one. But you know what? When you drive by, if you're just driving down some country road and you see this barn or whatever out in the middle of nowhere, this house next to it that's half abandoned, and you wonder who was there, what happened. I mean, I just like to stop and just go investigate just random stuff. But
If you ever,
Honestly, that's where I got my first picture of an old lady was doing that. It was Tracy and I just happened to have been riding around and we saw this old abandoned house. And so we went there, and while I'm walking around the house, I was getting this feeling as though I'm being watched. And so as we were leaving, she took the picture, and there's this lady. She's in the old period clothes where, you had the white shirt where it's like the collar
Yeah.
as the neck and collar, and her
Yep.
hair is like how she has it to where it kind of goes up and around, and then the bun sits on top.
Yeah.
And she's sitting with her arms crossed looking down at us. And I have this picture,
Wow.
and everyone is like, oh, it's just nature scene, but there's no glass in this window to show it. And I have this picture, so the next time I see you guys, I'll show you that picture.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, people can try to debunk and tell you that you're wrong. You know better.
Yep,
I'm not going to stick my neck out for something that I don't believe. I'm just
exactly.
not going to do it. That's not my personality. But this is something that's very passionate to me. And, do we enjoy doing it? Absolutely. I mean, I love it. Can you make a difference? If you can make one person feel better about themselves, that I'm not a freaking lunatic, I'm not crazy, then you did something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I'm not here to cure cancer and build rocket ships, but if we can make a difference in somebody's life, then we did
I
something
agree.
great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great team. Go SCPRAI.
So what's your favorite piece of equipment to use?
Spirit box.
Beer box?
Spirit box. I love Spirit box. That's always my favorite. And it's always the one that we do like dead last. It's my favorite
Yeah, I like
episode.
doing it last. I know.
I
Actually,
love
I
Spirit
do
box.
it in the beginning, and I'll do it at the end.
Yeah.
Really?
Because you never know what you're going to catch in the beginning, and you never know what you're going to catch at the end. So I like to do it them times of the day. Them
I
times.
like it. Yeah. Spirit box is definitely my favorite.
I just have a hard time with all the static unless it's like really, really clear.
Well,
Like,
you heard that the one on Spirit box at my house when we asked that where they were from, and they said
mm,
California.
yeah,
Yep.
I think that's on our website too, I believe.
That one was crazy. I mean, we
Actually,
were all sitting there
Yep.
going, "Oh my god!"
actually,
Yep.
I'm not gonna put the Hey Paul Sanders one on the end of the podcast because I know it's on the end of our website. So if anybody's listening wants to hear it, you can go to www.scprai.org and go to the evidence page, and it's on there. That's a little less work for me when it comes to editing.
Well, I do know that when we went to Chester jail, the spirit box would not work for us. And it works any other time. And when we went to go to the jail, it would
Really?
not work at all.
Mm.
We could not get it to work.
That's crazy.
Yes, the California one is also on the website too. So
Is it?
I'm not gonna put either one of those on the
Yep.
podcast. They can go to the website.
Yeah, that was a good one. That
Mm-hmm.
one was really clear for a 4-syllable word
Yeah.
coming through on Spirit Box. That was
It's
cool.
a little bit of a stretch from when they ask the question to the response, but the response is a direct response, and it is so long and it is so clear that I think it's legit.
Yeah, I did too. And a lot of times, people start firing off, tons of questions. How many people are
Yes.
in here? Blah 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 blah. And you got to give them a break. They're not going to answer. Typically they don't respond immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Not typically. If you go back and listen, a lot of times there is a break, and you want to give them a little bit of a pause. I'm not talking about 15 minutes, and then we could be talking about something else. Where's your favorite wine from? California. It could be something totally random off the wall. But
Yeah.
that one wasn't far enough out. It was where are you from? And I said, where are you from? Actually, or something like that. And it was just split second. Give it a little. It wasn't a split second. Couple seconds. California. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all kind of freaked out on that one. But the crazy one that nobody heard was it cursed me. I can't remember exactly what it said, and it did not record but it cursed me. And the next morning, actually, when Bill got home from work, we heard that same voice at the top of the stairs. And it, I think when we investigate, it does ramp it up a little bit for a short time, but it usually goes back down pretty quick.
Well, I'm going to need y'all to start cleansing after every case.
Yeah, no doubt.
Before you go home.
We got plenty of stuff with us. We ready.
Because I think what it is things are just drawn to you. Do I think that they all just come and stay and at your house all the time? No. But I think things are drawn to you because they know you can at least sense them. So they come, they see what they can get out of you, and then they leave, kind of. You know what I mean?
I believe that.
They're kind of like a one night stand.
Yeah, pretty much.
When it comes
Take what they can get, suck it all dry, and bolt every man I've ever known.
You might want to send this one to all your ex-boyfriends.
Oh Lord, you guys are great.
We love you, and we're glad that you're on the board now. You get to handle all the newbies. So
I know it. Angie sent me an email earlier. She sent me a text that said to say that she sent me an email, which is a good thing. So yeah, I can see if you've got a pressing issue and you need to tell somebody something. Yeah, send a personal email or text or something so we get it. But
okay.
Yes, we're gonna hook up and see if we can't turn the newbies over to me, and let's get them plugged in somewhere.
Absolutely.
No, I just gotta see if anybody wants to take over the website necessarily.
You're so good at it, Paul.
I don't know what I'm doing, much like this podcast.
You know exactly what you're doing.
Not really. The website needs some help, but I'll get it there eventually.
Yeah, I can't help you with that.
I can kind of help out.
Anytime you want the password, you got an idea, I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
I do it. I play around with it.
Melanie, when we working together again?
Chester?
I'm on the other Chester case.
That's gonna be one crazy night.
It'll be I guess I won't see you on that case, but I'll see you that night, I'm sure.
Well, if we get there early enough, I can come by, because we're doing Will and Jeffro's, and Will and Jeffro don't care we talk about them on here. So, I could come by Will and Jeffro's if everybody gets there early enough. I can come a few hours before, and we can hang out before I go.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just get there early.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have a couple. I think you're gonna have two newbies with you. You're gonna have Charlotte. Well, Hank's not really a newbie anymore, but you're gonna have Charlotte and Hank. I know that.
Okay.
But they want me at the other case, so I told Darlene to put me where.
Do we have both DVRs?
Yeah, there'll be two sets of equipment. So you'll probably have to meet Angie to get that set of equipment, and then Darlene will bring hers from Myrtle Beach, and then I might bring the third set for something. They were talking about doing another location to it that night, but I don't think we're going to do it now, or I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
else.
I knew there was a question of a third, but I wasn't sure where that went.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything else, and it's not on the roster yet, so I don't think it's going to happen. But we'll
sound like it. That'd be fun. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, I know. I mean, Will and Jeffro's, we got some good EVP and good stuff, before.
Yeah. I want to get them on here too eventually. It just never happens.
Yeah. Great guys. Oh my goodness.
We go over there, we just get to talk, and then we forget we should be recording all this. And
I know it. For nothing more than to go back and listen to the conversation that you recorded, because they are freaking hilarious.
They are.
Oh my God, some of my favorite people. I mean, the most generous people on the planet.
Well, I want to thank y'all for coming on, and anytime you want to come back on, if you had a good time and want to do it again, just shoot me a message.
I've got more stories.
We can find something else to talk about for sure.
All right, that sounds wonderful.
All righty.
Y'all have a good night.
You have a good night too.
Be careful.
All right.
I will. Thank you. Bye.
Please. Yeah. But yeah, this is where I was playing. This is where he walked up.
Good author.
Never had anything happen in here.
Disclaimer. Any names and locations have been changed to protect our client's identity unless it's a public place that allows public investigations. Any evidence we talk about on our podcast, website, or presentation, SCPRAI has been given written permission to do so by the client. Thanks for listening.